Hello and welcome to the Change in Ocean program support video number 7, which is going to look at how we process our raw abiotic data prior to its statistical analysis. We like to call this topping and tailing. The reason that we actually top and tail our data from both of those sites is to ensure that they have the same time frames and so they relate to each other within the same period of time. So how we do that is to go and collect our data first of all. So on the IMSD website, we can go to download data. In this situation, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to the last set of data at this period of time that we've collected, and that's in November 2021. We select that, and you can see there's a number of schools and colleges that have actually collected and shared their data. So what we're going to do is, let's just go to the 17th of November. So on the 17th of November, we've got some data here, and I'd like to have a look at light and temperature at Kerang Cove. And I think also for the next day for the same group would be light and temperature at Wavebreak Island. So let's download that information. So we download the Wavebreak Island data for light and temperature, and then we're going to download the light and temperature at Kerang Cove also. Well, now if we open both of these, worksheets up, go, and we can have a look. We can compare them now. Now, as you can see, at Wavebreak Island, we placed a logger in the water that was attached to the arms unit on the 30th of September. And we can also see here at Kerang Cove that we placed a logger attached to an arms unit into the water at 12 minutes past 12. Now, two different times. So what we need to do is we try and represent those times as close as we can for the same period of time for the duration of the deployment of these loggers. So with Wavebreak Island, that was our last one put in. So what we can do, we can't get our logger at Wavebreak to transport itself back in time to midday. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and bring our data that was collected at Kerang Cove forwards. Now, before we do that, let's look at Wavebreak Island. You can see some results here. Let's see if we just look at the temperature here. So our temperature was 25.52 degrees Celsius on our first data that was recorded. The next one was 23.72. It then dropped to 21.4, 21.06. Can you see the way it's actually slowly starting to decrease? We got a little bit of a spike here, but then it drops again. Now, I would also like to look at the light intensity. You can see the light intensity here is quite high at 11,382 lux. Now, what we're going to do is have a look at how it changes. Now, Wavebreak Island traditionally has a fair bit of light penetrating the water. It seems to be low turbidity. Now, if we look down here, can you see there's a bit of a spike here at 25,000 lux? And then it drops again to 9s, up to 14. I would suggest, looking at this, that this data that was collected here was the preparation of the arms unit, and the data logger was being exposed to the air and the light whilst it was on the boat prior to its deployment. So I would suggest that we need to get rid of our first set of plots. So I'm going to ask you now to select plot title 6 all the way over here. We're going to include 25,149 lux. We're going to select all of the data going back to the first piece that was recorded, and then right click on the selected field and then we can delete that information. Now it comes up when we right click, it says, are we going to shift the cells up? Ideally, yes, we are, so we can actually get a nice clear comparison between both of our worksheets. So we're going to OK that. And you can see now that we've deleted that first bit of information. So we now start at number 7. Now, what we need to do is then look over here to Kerang Cove. Now, if our first piece of data collection at wave break is 39 minutes past 2 in the afternoon, we need to go and find the same data as close as we can in Kerrang Cove. So we'll scroll down, select on the Kerrang Cove worksheet. We'll scroll down until we come to, as close as we can, to 14.39. Now, can you see here we have 14.37. All right, so what we're going to do with this one, because there's a large amount of information here in front of it, 14.39, 14.37, we're going to keep 14.37, but everything above that we are going to select. So we're going to select from item 29 all the way across and up, and all of that data, with the exception of the titles at the top of each column, we are going to select, and then we right click and we will delete that data. Again, it asks us to shift cells up, which we will, so we'll OK that. Now you can see that our times of 14.39 and 14.37, relatively speaking, are very, very close together. So what's happening at here, Kerrang Cove, we can make an almost direct comparison within a couple of minutes to what was happening here at Wavebreak Island. So as you can see, if we look at light intensity, the light intensity at Wavebreak Island was 9,480 lux, whereas the light intensity here at Kerrang Cove, which we know is a highly turbid area, is only at 162 lux. So there would appear to be a difference there. Okay, so we've topped our data. Now what we need to do is we need to go to the bottom of our data and see what sort of time frames are shown there. So if we have a look here on our Kerrang Cove data, our last recording is on the 17th of the 11th at 12:20. So let's have a look now. If we select our Wavebreak Island workbook, and the last piece of recording here was on the 18th of the 11th, which is the following day, and that was at 12:44. Now, this particular data collection was performed over a 2-day period. As we can see, Kerrang Cove was actually collected on the 17th of November in 2021, whereas the loggers from Wavebreak Island were not collected until the 18th of the 11th, which was the following day. So what we need to do is we need to bring the data that was collected here for Wavebreak Island back to the same time frame that was the last piece of data collection at Kerrang Cove. Now, at Kerrang Cove on the 17th of the 11th, you can see here that some of these lux recordings here, so the light intensity, especially that 43,000, this is sort of reflecting the fact that this data logger was out of the water, I would suggest. We have quite elevated temperatures too, of around 37 degrees. Now, I'm just going to scroll back on this particular one and show you our normal parameters. Now, we're looking here at 22 minutes past 10, and at Kerrang Cove, and for those that have seen the sites and looked at the PowerPoint would understand that Kerrang Cove is quite a highly turbid environment. And so the light penetration down to 5 meters is not usually very good. So when we're looking at lux values of 89, 107, 82, 92, etc., that's a reasonable amount for Kerrang Cove Marina. Now, as we look through this data and we travel through and we see, look at this one here, see that massive jump where it jumps to 85,770 lux. I would suggest that at that point, the logger was pulled out of the water, the arms unit was pulled out of the water. So not only do we see a jump in light intensity, but as you can see, we're also seeing an increase over time of our temperature. So I would suggest that we need to delete 85,770 lux and below. That way we can ensure that our data is not jeopardized by any errors due to the fact that it was collecting data whilst it was removed from the water. So we're going to highlight that now. Okay, so once we've highlighted it, again, we're going to right click on the selection. We're going to choose delete, and we're going to shift those cells up. Okay, so we're going to OK that. All right, so now when we look at our Kerang Cove, it's still the 17th of the 11th, 2021, but the time that the accurate time for this now is 11:42. So what we need to do is we need to look at our data from Wavebreak Island, and we now need to ensure that the data we're looking at here correlates with the data that we're looking at here at Wavebreak Island. So a nice easy way to do it, if we look at our coordinate on the side of Kerang Cove, can you see it says 13792? What we can do here is we can scroll up and at Wavebreak Island, we can scroll up until we see 13792. So scrolling, 139, 13792. Now, if we look at the coordinate 13792 on our Wavebreak Island data, you can see that it's 17th of November 2021. And the time frame we've got here is 11:44.56. So that is as close as we're going to get to our data here at Kerang Cove. So what I'm going to ask you all to do now is we're going to keep the data in 13792 coordinate. Okay, but everything below that we're going to select and we're going to delete. So we're going to scroll to the bottom on this one. We've highlighted the selection we want to delete. We're going to right click on there, select delete, and then of course we're going to shift the cells up and we're going to OK that. All right, now, so when we look at our information now, we have near as damn it, like for like. On coordinate 13792, you will see that the date is the same. The time is within a few minutes of each other. And of course, then you have the relevant data at each site. Okay, so that is how we top and tail our data. Now we have that data, those abiotic factors. You can then go to our Changing Ocean program support video number 4, I believe it is, and you'll be able to run your t-tests and compare both of those sites. All right. Well, I hope that was some help to you all, and we will see you again, I presume, for support video number 8.